Hi. So here we're looking at the class Star Wars Virtual Machine commands. Execute command, effect movement speed increase. So this is one of the commands that gets called by the proprietary scripting language, the Neverwinter script, particularly effect movement speed increase, and is used to provide the script writer with an effect object that can be used to change, that is, in this case, increase the player's movement speed. And it's what the burst of speed force power uses, as well as the alacrity stims in this game. So let's walk through some of the basics here. This isn't fully reverse engineered, but it's kind of my best attempt to give it a bit of souping up in the decompile. So first of all, we have constructor progress counters and frame handlers. These aren't important. This is just how old C++ programs manages various exception handling issues. But the real thing is important is once we get in here. So this function's kind of weird the way the compiler optimized it. It actually ends up overriding the third parameter. So calling this speed change isn't super accurate because it doesn't actually become that until here. So first of all, we're just checking to see if it's 1. If not, it's just going to skip the entire function and do nothing. So, but once we get in here, it's going to grab a pointer to this parameter. And then what we're going to do is off of the virtual machine stack, it is going to pop the speed change parameter. So the way that the virtual machine scripts take parameters in when they're being called is it pushes them onto what's called the virtual machine stack in order, and in reverse order, they get pulled off to apply parameters. So the particular function that we're targeting here, which I have shown previously in this write-up, is right here. Effect movement speed increase takes a single integer, the new speed percentage. So that's what's being grabbed right here. This is the speed the change pointer that it's being put into. It checks to see if it's 0. If so, it's going to skip the whole function because that means it failed. Otherwise, what we're going to do is we're going to create a buffer that is 140 bytes long, and we are going to create a new game effect. And so this is what it's going to do right there. We make this game effect like so. And then we're going to start setting some values of it. So if you're curious how creating the game effect looks, it's mostly just setting a bunch of values, the creator ID, the date of expire, the duration, the spell ID. A lot of these are just all default values right now. So yeah, it starts by doing all of that. Then what we're going to do is we set the script effect type. This is the important part. So here we're setting it to the hexadecimal number 1C. That's decimal 28. If you want to see what this actually means, I've actually labbed out the conversion in here. We scroll way down here where it grabs, if the type is 1C, it's going to return movement speed increase to the script handler. So this is the script constant that is being used by the Neverwinter scripts header table. So if we jump in here down to movement speed, well, that's 19. Increased movement speed is down here. Yeah, 48. So yeah, essentially it's getting converted there. Here they do some stuff with the subtype. I'm not totally sure how effect subtyping works just yet, but it doesn't seem too important for our purposes. This is just zeroing out bit 5 and activating bit 4, doing some bitwise operators. Next, what we do is the C game effect type has a set of integers that are endemic to it. Here, where can I get a good example of a game effect? Here. So if I pull up the type diagram, this is what I reversed. Oh my god, that's not what this was to happen. This is what I've reversed so far of the types for C game effect. So you'll see that down here there's this integer list, the float list, string list, and object list. So it would seem that we put the speed change at the front of the integer list using set integer. Now what we're doing is we're grabbing an ID that's stored somewhere in virtual machine commands 8 after the pointer. I'm assuming this is the pointer to probably the player, whoever's creating it. And what we do is we grab the destination for that. We get the game object array from the server. And then what we do is we grab them out of the server. Don't need to worry about this concatenation here. This is just because these are different length integers and it's trying to be very specific for you. But essentially, it's just taking the game object and putting that is stored by this ID and sticking it into creator object destination, which means now the creator game object has the game object in it. Now we have our little if statement here, which is kind of got garbled by the compiler, but basically if we found the object, We set this equal to it and making sure it's not a null object. And we go ahead and set the creator of the effect to that. Next, what we do is the way it does return values is it pushes it back to the stack. So it consumes all its parameters, and then at the very end, it leaves the stack with the final thing it returns. In this case, it returns this engine structure of the effect. So the engine structure system is kind of complicated. We don't have to dig too deep into it, but basically, if you look up here, we'll see that it defines engine structure type 0, which that's what this 0 here is for, is being an effect. So it's taking our effect pointer, and it does the necessary transforms to where its ID is available and usable by the script going forward. Finally, they check if we got a null value out of there. We just return this special error code of -2000. Not totally sure how the return codes on the execute command system works just yet, as I haven't dug too deep into the virtual machine command dispatch systems yet. Otherwise, we just do some cleanup. We free everything out and just do our final returns. And yeah, there's a different error code return, -2001 for everything else. So I did that rather quickly, but you kind of get the general idea of what's going on here. We are essentially getting this value and creating a brand new effect, and then allowing that effect to be accessible by the script. So in the next video, we'll talk about how that script is getting applied to the player. So yeah, thank you.